if you find watching Korean dramas and movies and or YouTube videos without subtitles hard and it feels like, oh, it's so difficult, I don't understand it, the words are too difficult, then this video might be for you because it will give you sort of 안심, which 안심 is like peace of mind. It'll give you a sort of peace of mind. Because although I always tell people it does not matter how difficult or how easy the content that you watch is, it does not matter. The most important thing for choosing the right content to immerse in Korean with is it interesting to me? Because when something is interesting, we naturally focus. And when our brains are focused on something, that's when we acquire language. So no, it does not matter if it's so difficult. It doesn't matter if it's easy. If we're focused on something, that's when we're learning the most, and in terms of language acquisition. And you can force attention. You could force yourself to focus on something, but that doesn't go very far. It can't last very long because it's very hard. But when we're naturally compelled, like if we're binge watching, Squid Game, right? Then basically what happens is our brains go into a sort of flow state and we're not using that much energy to watch it, which is why we can binge for hours and hours and hours. But I know that there is a voice in a lot of people's heads that go, oh, this is too difficult. Oh, this is too difficult. And I want to watch it, but I think that I'm not getting good language gains. And so this video is for you because I'm going to give you a little advice that you could do when watching shows on Netflix or Amazon Prime, but I would say most people probably Netflix, and it's going to change your world, hopefully. So on Netflix, there is a tool called audio description. Okay. Now, audio description is really powerful because originally, what audio description is basically any time you're watching a show and there is no dialogue, there is a narrator that explains what's going on the scene, right? So originally, this was made for people who have sight impairments or are blind because they can't see what's going on the screen, right? So whenever there is no actual dialogue, when the actors aren't saying anything, or the characters in the show aren't saying anything, or in the movie they're not saying anything, there is like moments of silence. So the narrator explains what's going on screen. This way, people who can't see can actually visualize what's going on. Let me get a sip of coffee here real quick. Now, as a beginner, again, I'm going to say it one more time. It does not matter how difficult the content that you choose is. It doesn't matter because 85% of all Korean is going to pop up in every single show, every single movie, no matter what. Yes, the 15% that may be more difficult, you're going to feel it more strongly when you're watching stuff that maybe has to do with like court cases, maybe that has to do with like politics, but it doesn't matter. Choose content that you find interesting. That's number one. But because that voice in your head goes, oh, this is difficult, audio description will allow you to still watch that stuff and quiet that voice in your head. Here's why. Audio description on Netflix, for example, it just kind of explains what's going on the screen, almost like it's so matter of fact. And so, for example, if I'm drinking a cup of coffee, right, it would say something like "존이 머그잔을 듣는다," like something like that, or "든다," like "존이 커피를 마신다," right? It would say John's drinking coffee. It would say 존이 핸드폰을 본다, right? It would be like John's looking at his phone. Why this is so powerful is because if you're even watching something that's so difficult, all of the stuff that they're explaining on the screen is like the most basic language. Now, they do have it they've sort of upped their game with audio description to make it way more fluffy and more descriptive. But like so much of the audio description is simple, like object explanation, like they're just explaining like nouns on the screen, like 존이 뒤 돌아본다, like that, right? Like John turns around and looks behind him. If you're watching something, you're like, oh, I want to watch it, but I think it's too difficult, just turn on the audio description and make that the focus of the things that you're hoping to gain language from, right? Hoping to gain vocabulary from. This way, the difficult dialogue itself is actually not in the forefront, it's on the back burner, and like you're more focused on what's going on screen. And you could do this for any single show you want. And it's so powerful because now some people like to have audio description on just because you get more language. Now, I'm a big proponent of silence is actually very important, especially in the beginning stages of a language. Like if you put on audio description the day one from starting Korean, you're basically just getting bombarded with like audio. And so it's really hard on your brain. And it's actually good to not have it on because you hear a sentence and then there's silence, and your brain has some time to mull over what has been said, 2 or 3 or 4 seconds. If audio description's on, there's no rest. So it's just bombardment, right? Kind of like a podcast, just like sounds. So when you're if you're starting out learning a language, and if you're learning Korean and you want to put on audio description and it's not overwhelming, do it, cool. But I find like when I first started learning Japanese, it was a little overwhelming because there was no breaks in between for my brain to kind of mull over what had just been said. Like I'm not trying to like memorize or like get meaning, but it naturally feels that way. You'll hear something and your brain will kind of mull over it. But if audio description's on, there's not a lot of time for that because it fills in all those gaps. So that could be overwhelming. But if you're used to Korean by now, like even a little bit, and you turn it on, it'll be exciting because now even some of the basic stuff is kind of like easy for you, but you're gonna get so many language gains because even if you feel, oh, this is too difficult, turn on audio description, and now you could just watch what's going on the screen. Everything you see that's going on the screen, they're gonna be talking about, and you get so many great like little words here and there. And this way, when the actual difficult dialogue comes out, there will be moments when you become focused on the dialogue, right? Because it's not at the forefront of the show anymore. It's more like you might be focused on the audio description. And what's great about audio description is, let's say you watch an episode and now you're heading out for the day and you want to listen to something in like audio. It's kind of like an audiobook. So if you want to go on Netflix and listen to something like just like as passive listening, make sure audio description's on, and now it's like an audiobook of something you've already watched. So all the visualizations going on too, and it's amazing. So I would say if you've never tried audio description, try it. It could be a huge game changer. Whenever I watch Korean stuff, I always have it on because you just get little nuggets here and there, and especially for beginners, it's so powerful because you're basically listening to exactly what's going on the screen, right? Johnny 커피를 마신다, like this, and you're like, oh, that's how you say that, right? Johnny 마이크를 잡는다. Oh, that's how you say that. You just get such good visual audio context. It makes it really easy to learn. So if you haven't tried audio description, when you're on Netflix, turn it on. Now, one thing I'll say is that if you find it hard to find compelling content, the issue might be that you're not in Korea. And so if you turn on Netflix, there is a limited amount of shows or movies you can watch in Korean. So all you have to do is use a VPN, set your VPN to South Korea, and then boom, all of a sudden you have South Korean Netflix, and now you can watch like literally an unlimited amount of shows and movies in Korean. If you don't know what a VPN is, watch this next video. I explain why I use it still every single day and why it will change your life when it comes to choosing the right content. All right.